Gary, welcome to 10 Questions.
Thank you very much. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm a big fan of your channel and what you do. And so, yeah, it's a big thrill for me. So let's just get into it. Question one is, what or who got you into collecting?
Okay, so when I was younger, I collected like a lot of different things, like bouncy balls to stickers to everything. And once the 90s rolled around and all those cartoons came, Spider-Man, Batman animated series, of course, X-Men, it was off to the races. I mean, even Ninja Turtles, I wish I was collecting the Turtle books when Turtles came out, but that's kind of what got me into everything. Definitely like that Maximum Carnage time period of Amazing Spider-Man got me reading more, and Death of Superman. But it was the cartoons that really got me into it.
Was there anybody, like a parent or an aunt, uncle, cousin, anybody like that collected?
Not, well, my uncle collected sports cards, so I did too when I was younger. But when it came to comics and stuff like that, That was it. Just me.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was very similar. And people who watch this show know that I had an uncle that was very into, like, I live in coal mining country, right? So where I live is coal mining capital of the world. And it's always kind of been like a boom bust type business. And he would get laid off. Well, he started, trading in ball cards. And that's what got me into it. He would go to flea markets and things like that, and he would sell cards. And that was when it was really big, right before it kind of went away. But he did comic books, he did knives, he did things like that. So I always find it interesting how people found their passion for it, because that's what hooked me was my uncle.
Oh yeah. It's funny because a lot of people in that, there's like a decade window from like 85 to 95 where I feel like everybody was doing the same thing in these hobbies. Like everyone was collecting baseball cards or starting watching those cartoons and all that stuff. And now we know all those baseball cards aren't worth much from that time period, massively produced. And then the comics from that time period aren't worth as much because those were massively produced. So it's funny, like everybody seemed to be doing the same thing at that time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. So question two, your immediate family, your wife, your kids, are they involved in the hobby as well? Or is it really just something you do?
My daughter's 4. So like I'm trying to get her into it a little bit, but it's really just me. My wife doesn't even watch the movies. It's literally me down to everything. Yeah, and if you ever watch on my channel, I've done a few videos with my wife, like name that character. It's pretty bad.
Well, my wife would be the same way. Like, she is the exact opposite of a collector. Like, she doesn't even like knickknacks or things like that. I'm like you. And when I was younger, I collected everything. I can't even name, coins, stamps, whatever, just to collect something. But my wife is the exact opposite of that. So how do they feel about what you do, your hobby, your hustle as far as the comic books go? Are they fully supportive of that? Or, I mean, more so your wife?
Yeah. So my wife is 100% involved. My daughter loves it because I have toys and cool stuff all over the place. But my wife is like never says anything about it. Like, I want you to stop, or this is too much. Nothing, ever. Very supportive.
It's interesting because, I was telling Jim Mint when I talked to him, I asked him that exact same question, and, Fee's very involved in his channel. And so I find it as really a common denominator of people who, really love to collect or are successful at what they do. They have a really supportive spouse, somebody that's kind of, hey, yeah, do your thing. I mean, if it was taking food off the table, it'd be a different thing, right? But
no, that's probably a big part of it. Like, she's pretty supportive, and like she lets me know, like, if a video, like, nah, I don't like this thumbnail, I don't like this title, you should do something this way. Like, she's more supportive on the YouTube end probably than the hobby end, because she was really into YouTube before the big boom. Like, all the makeup people on YouTube, she was watching them way back before they popped and they blew up, and that YouTube market became a whole industry. She was involved in watching that. So she has a ton of experience watching the videos and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And she's been like way supportive on the YouTube end. I mean, she's been supportive on everything, but her ideas and her experience has helped on the YouTube end.
Yeah, I was gonna say that has to be really helpful. If someone who's been in it, who's been watching YouTube that long before, like you said, it but kind of blew up, and everybody's got a YouTube channel, right? I guess. That's cool. All right. So question 3 is, what inspired you to start a YouTube channel? Like, what was the reason that you even began?
So I started because I was friends with Jem,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw him doing it, and I liked what he was doing, but he wasn't doing what I would have done. And Comic Tom, I was kind of watching him, and I was like, all right, they both have a good following, but neither of them do what I would want to do. I still watch them. I still love their content and stuff like that, but I was like, I could do something a little different. So I thought it would be really cool because before I even get into it, everything I do, whether it's collecting or making YouTube content or organizing my books, I do it how I want to do it. I don't do it how I think other people are going to want it done that way. So I was like, I can do a YouTube channel and make it interesting, something I would want to see, which is somebody go to a collection, break down a collection, see what it's about, send stuff to CGC, talk about the keys. I'm like, I would be entertained by that. So I'm like, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do what I think. Well, I shouldn't say what I think. I'm going to do what I know is entertaining for me. And I'm like, if other people find it entertaining, great. If they don't, all right, well, I guess I'm not the norm and I'm not part of the group here, but I thought it was really interesting and educational and entertaining. So that's why I did it all and started on that route.
Well, one of the things that drew me to your channel, and it's funny that you said the organizing, the way that you do things. I can't remember. I don't even know how long ago it was because I'm fairly new to the YouTube thing. I own a company, and I'm just almost really the last 2 or 3 years kind of getting back into the hobby after a hiatus. And most people are probably like that. You go through a hiatus. And
I hear a lot of people like that. I've heard a lot of people say, like you're saying, like YouTube and Instagram and things like that have brought them back into the hobby.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I was watching, I think it was maybe a room tour that you did. And then I think you also did a garage tour.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that you organize, like in alphabetical, numerical order, is exactly how I like to do it. Like I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. There's somebody out there who likes to do this like I do. Because there's almost like a hint of OCD in some of the things that I do, but it's very fulfilling to me, or it scratches an itch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, all of that started because I used to go to conventions and I would go to people's booths and look, and it would be like a mess. I'd be like, well, where's this? And the guy behind the desk or the table would know where it is, but I can't find it in your extremely weird, crazy layout here. So I said, all right, if I'm going up to a booth, I want to set it up the way I want to set it up. And that just rolled into what the garage looked like and everything else. And just makes it ridiculously easy to find a book that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. I said, that's what I'm looking for. Like I have an LCS here. We have one. Like I said, I live in the hills, man. It's, rural Eastern Kentucky. And we have one comic shop that's within an hour drive of me. So, and my office, one of my offices happens to be there. So on New Comic Book Day, I go there and, so I can hit the LCS while I'm there, but it's just a mess back there. Yeah. And I love my LCS, as far as those guys are great, but it is a mess in the back issue bin. And I like to dig through and try to find books. And so that's really kind of what prompted me as well. And even your setup as far as your stands and how you display your things. Like you'll have the Batman, I think black and white at the time was something that you were collecting, and how you had it set up, but then you would have a key book in with it. And that's how I do it too. And it was just kind of cool to find somebody that kind of thought about it the same way you did. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's really what drew me to your channel.
Yeah. I try to accessorize the books.
Yeah, no, me too. That's what, like I said, I think that's a cool way to do it. And it's not a ton of clutter. It's not, it's just a very cool, sleek look, which I dig. So, all right, question 4. At this stage, and I know your YouTube career is probably fairly young, and you're really starting to see a big subscriber boost, or at least since I've been following you, I've been seeing a pretty kick up in your subscribers. Is it still fun? I mean, like, do you enjoy doing the YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always look forward to once it's not fun anymore, you're probably going to see me slow down or stop. But yeah, I love, because it's a story. So like, I don't know, this is going to sound corny, but whatever. So like with comic books, I'm always drawn into the good stories. The art, to me, I don't want to say the art is secondary, but it's more like the story is 1 and the art is 1A for me personally.
Me too.
So with my channel, it's almost like small stories. For instance, I just went and looked at a collection. This is right now. I bought the collection. I have to record that video, put the video together and record everything. And part of that story is going over the key issues. And I keep looking over here because there's a stack right there of the key issues that I'm going to talk about in that video. So we're going to talk about those keys, right, in that one video. What I'm also going to do is have the viewer leave in the comment section which ones they want me to send to CGC. So out of this stack of keys, we're going to send X amount to CGC. The people watching the video will choose. Then the next video will be them coming back from CGC. I shouldn't say the next video, but, down the line, the next part of the story. Are these books coming back to CGC? We go over the grades, we go over the GPA, the values, and we see if we made money on that collection or not, just with those few books that we send to CGC. So it's like a story. So I have a lot of ongoing stories on my channel.
Right. Well, that's one of the cool things about your channel is you can, you bought this collection and then you get to see down the road what came of that. Like what grades did these books get? Like even the pre-screen stuff that you do, you're pressing your books and you're cleaning them and you're sending them off and you're like, okay, what did I get? And I don't know. I just kind of dig the way you do it. I think it's fun. So what's your favorite part of the channel? Like, is it telling the story? Is it the editing of the videos? Is it just being on camera? Is it interacting with the people in the crowd, or is it all the above?
I love every aspect of it. There's no part of doing this YouTube thing where I'm like, oh, I got to do this. But my favorite part is the live shows. That is my absolute favorite. I love interacting with everybody watching because especially now more than ever, we don't have conventions to interact with people and see people. So it's happening virtually now. It's happening in the live chat. It's happening on Instagram. It's happening during our shows. Like I don't know if you ever caught one of our auctions, me and Jay's auction.
I have. Yeah.
Those things go for 7 to 8 hours, which is ridiculous, but we do it once a month, not December, but we do it once a month. It's a marathon. It's me, Jay, and then we bring in a guest, somebody that we know personally. And so there's 3 of us. There's people in that chat for the entire time. And as much as it is an auction, it's kind of just like hanging out. Hey, by the way, we're going to sell this book. We talk to the chat. Things are going on. So that interaction, that's the most fun for me.
Well, for me too, I tell people because, I'll show my age here. I'm 45, okay? I've been in business my whole life. I have done different things. I'm more of a handshake kind of fella, a hug you kind of guy. And the YouTube experience, that's been my favorite part, really, almost because of the COVID or the coronavirus, is I've gotten to know so many people in different parts of the world. Like I said, I'm this guy sitting in a town of 600 people in Eastern Kentucky talking to a guy in New York. Right now, I've made friends with a guy in Oregon, a guy in Rochester, a guy in Brooklyn. I've made friends with all these different people through this YouTube channel. I see that baby back there.
Yeah, she's peeking her head out.
I have daughters too, so enjoy the 4-year-olds. All I can tell you.
Yeah, she's a blast. But yeah, to your point, like I've met people that I never would have otherwise. Yeah. Not just with YouTube, but unfortunately with the COVID and everything, this YouTube world is much more involved. There's a lot of people now. Instagram as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I have discovered too is, as divisive as this world is that we live in, okay, that within this community, we come from all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of different, trains of thought, but we all have something in common. And I said the world could really use what the comic book community or the collectibles community has. As far as people who have completely different beliefs, but have a common love and can relate over that.
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter your skin color, your religious belief, your political belief. None of that matters. None of that matters. I don't know what she's doing back there. We all have one common thing, which is the hobby. Right. And I always say this too, is the amount of the amount of different directions you can take in the hobby. I say this all the time on my channel. Like there are collectors of original art, statues, raw books, slabs, people that just want the trades, people that just want to read, signed books, unsigned books, silver, bronze, gold. Like there's so many different avenues. You can't do it all, right? Can you do it all? It gets a little pricey.
Yeah.
So there's so many different avenues that people collect, but ultimately we're all under this same umbrella, and all that other real world BS doesn't really infiltrate into this hobby, especially with this community. It's really good. You know, you always get those few bad eggs, right? That's going to happen anywhere. But for the majority, everyone I have interacted with has been outstanding.
Yeah, and honestly, man, it's something that I needed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as far as like me personally, especially with quarantine. Now, you know, my industry is considered essential, right? So I don't know that I've stopped working a day, but the interaction with people has stopped because my business has almost gone digital. I mean, like we've almost gone completely digital.
Yeah, that so I'm essential too, my real world, my real job and everything. And it's been interesting to say the least. I still have to go to where I work. So but it always comes back to this hobby. Like these people, you know, everybody's been great with everything going on in this world. This hobby hasn't suffered, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. If anything, it's probably expanded somewhat because maybe people are bored and they, you know, they don't have anything to do, and, you know, and so you get back into reading because I'm like you, I am there for the story. The art is secondary for me. Like I said, I don't know that it's, you know, I don't, like you said, 1A is probably a good way to put it. The story, and then 1A is the art. But I think a lot of people, like I have an eBay store, you know, that I just piddle with. I've had it for years, and it's, you know, things that I just piddle where I'll buy something that I know probably has some value, and I'll sell it so that I can buy something that I really want for my collection. And that's, you know, that's part of the hobby, right? That's part of it. And so go ahead.
That's how I got into this, is basically flip up to, okay, I don't like, I'll buy a collection and there'll be nothing in there for me, but I know I could pick up, or I could sell a few of these things, make a couple dollars and pick something up for me.
Yeah. And that was what my uncle always did. I've watched him. I just watched him do it for years. I mean, you know, he bought a Rolex one time and he ended up selling it and buying like 6 Hank Aaron rookie cards. I don't know. It was like it was just the oddest thing. But so listen, question 5, since you started the YouTube channel, is there anything that you would do differently now that you're here? Is there anything that you would have done different?
When I started?
Yeah, no, like from between, you know, when you started and now, is there anything that you would have done differently? You know, like in learning kind of how to run a channel, how to tell the story. Is there anything that you would have done different?
I guess the quality of my stuff has expanded as I've learned, but it's hard to say I would have changed that because I didn't know.
Right.
So,
that makes sense.
So I'm always trying to learn and do better. I mean, I'm still kind of doing the same kind of content that I was doing a year ago.
Right.
11 months now. Yeah, it's all the same kind of content. Just the quality of the physical videos have gone up, as well as, I mean, I'm not on the couch anymore when I first started, and you know, those kind of things. But I think those come naturally with every channel. You expand, you get better, you learn, and you just keep trying to make it better.
Yeah, I always like to ask the question because, you know, I'm still fairly young into this, right? I'm essentially 3 months in, and the whole interview thing for me makes sense because I have a podcast with a couple other guys, and, you know, we interview folks and we do different things. So the interview thing kind of made sense to me, you know, that this would be fun for me. And I know people do interviews, but I always like to ask that question because I know there's some things as I've learned, you know, about editing, or I've learned about the quality of my camera or the quality of my mic, things like that, that I like to try to drop little tips here and there for people who are getting started.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was out of the gate. Let's see. I was doing the live. Jem had me on his channel a few times before I started mine, and I was using like the mic on the computer, and I was using like headphones with a mic, like a headset. And then, you know, for $100 you can get a good USB mic. I made sure to have that before I really started that channel. I think I picked it up, oh my God, like Black Friday last year. Like I was getting ready in November, December to reboot the channel in January. So yeah, the equipment's kind of important, but I think sound might be the most important.
Yeah. And I think too, it's just honestly, it's corny, but it's true. You just got to do it.
Oh yeah.
You just got to make a video, right? I mean, you've got to do it. You've got to put it out there. And it's really scary because, or it was for me, because I wasn't the type of guy that necessarily put himself out there. as far as for everybody to criticize.
Oh yeah.
I did enough of that in my real world job. So I didn't, for something for fun, it wasn't necessarily something I was looking to do. But it is scary. But I told my wife, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I want to try it, and I'm just going to throw it out there. And I think I've got 80 videos later or something like that. Here we are. Yeah.
Oh God, I won't even go back and watch my original videos. They're probably so bad and uncomfortable and awkward but that's the best thing. Just do it, see what happens, and be patient, because you're not going to end up with 1,000 followers overnight. It's going to take a while.
Right. Yeah, it's going to take time. And so I want to turn the conversation just a little bit into, I know a lot of people, especially that follow you, are really interested in the how you buy, how you sell, how you grade, how you press, things like that. So question 6 is for a beginner, a newbie, somebody that's really wanting to get back into it and, maybe buy and sell a few things. Do you have any advice or any tips? I mean, I don't want you to give away the secret sauce, because you got to earn that, right?
There's no real secret sauce.
Yeah. But as far as, just some advice for somebody that's wanting to get into it.
So I would say educate yourself is probably the best information. Like educate yourself, whether it's through Instagram, YouTube, learn. When I first got into this, not YouTube, but really learning the hobby. I mean, really learning the hobby, learning the keys, learning the first issues. Actually, I never told anybody this. You ever pick up at a Barnes and Noble? I mean, I guess Amazon now, you can buy like the Marvel or DC encyclopedia. They have 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Okay. I bought them just because I was interested. I was dabbling anyway. I went through when I knew I was starting to look at more and more collections, and I didn't feel comfortable or educated or confident yet in making purchases and not losing money. I went through that encyclopedia, and every major character, I wrote down their first appearance in their book. And I have it. I might still actually have it. I have notebooks, like notepads of characters with their first appearances. And the picture was in that encyclopedia as well. So that helped with a little blurb about the character. But that is really, between that and just scrolling Instagram and reading Instagram and interacting with people on Instagram, I just learned. I mean, that was like 6 or 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now it's just, and you still have to learn. You still have to educate yourself, because every week a new book comes out, and all of a sudden this Daredevil 25 is now a $50 book that came out a week ago.
Right.
So it never stops. But that would be my biggest advice to somebody trying to get in, is don't ever stop learning.
Well, that's, I was telling you about my uncle. That's what he did. He read about everything. I don't care what it was. He knew what he was looking at.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, look, how are you going to go buy something and know if you can make money on it if you don't know what it is and you don't know, what the value really is? Do you have like a favorite way to purchase? Is it buying collections? Is it going to a flea market, eBay? Like, is there a favorite way that you just like to do it?
Buying collections. That's my favorite. I love making the video. I love seeing what people have. I love talking to people. So I love hearing their stories. I love hearing why they're selling. Was it their originals? And then they usually talk about their childhood or something that, the story that goes with that collection. I always like hearing about that. So definitely buying collections is my favorite, because it's like treasure hunting.
It really is. Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's why some of these TV shows are so successful, like Pickers.
American Pickers. That's exactly.
How successful is that show? It's basically treasure hunting in the real world, above ground, sometimes below ground. But, the storage unit, the Storage Wars TV show was a big thing. You're treasure hunting. You don't know what's in there. So every collection I go to, it's treasure hunting. Sometimes it's a dud and sometimes it's gold, but you just don't know.
No, that was for my entire childhood. That's what I tell people. I had the best childhood ever because I got to go treasure hunting every weekend. Yeah. So, because my uncle would go and he would take me, even when I was small, like he didn't care. He would take me. It was my dad's brother. Yeah. And my dad would go. My dad was always fun to, like they were just fun to go hang out with, as a kid. Of course, as I got older, I couldn't stand either one of them. But but as a kid, I got to go treasure hunting every weekend. It was just a ball, man. I love that, and you're right. It is. It's so much fun to do that.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Other than building my personal collection, going and buying hobbies is my favorite, because that's the thing too. You could go buy a collection and find something for your personal collection, And that is like, because I'm starting to get it's getting a little harder for me to find stuff for myself at this point. I'm pretty much at the point where I'm just trying to upgrade stuff I already own. So instead of my first Riddler is a 2.5.
Yeah.
To find a 3.0, a 3.5 or better now in the wild, that's the challenge now. That's where I'm at.
Well, have you, like, what's the craziest book you've ever found in the wild? Like, is there just something you were like, oh my God, I can't believe this was in this box?
I found an ASM 1. I found a Fantastic Four 5. I have found the best book I've ever found. Oh, actually, I guess the best book I ever found was the Fantastic Four number 5. It came back a 5.5 white pages. So that was the best. But the best for me was my Batman 16.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
First Alfred, and it came back a 7.0 white pages. There's only 12 on the census that's higher. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So that's the best I've ever found.
Cool. So question 7 is, and it kind of goes along with this, what we just talked about. What are some good resources that you use to find value? Like I said, I think the encyclopedia one, the Marvel, I think that's a great resource actually. But as far as trying to find values, do you use the Overstreet? Do you use eBay sales? Do you use kind of what do you look at?
So I use eBay sale. Well, very rarely do I break my phone out looking at a collection. Only if I'm stumped or I'm unsure about something. Otherwise, it's really eBay sales. I just try to beat eBay sales when I'm looking to sell something. And when I'm buying something, I definitely go way below eBay sales because I tell people this too, is the investment on the collection doesn't stop at the purchase of the collection. That's right. There's still CGC costs involved, bagging, boarding, organizing, all your time involved. All that stuff takes time, and time is money.
That's right.
So that's kind of what I use. Basically, eBay sales. I use GPA analysis a lot too, based on CGC sales.
Do you use like the CGC message boards and things like that as far as a resource as well for you? Do you find that beneficial at all?
I don't use it. I've never used it, but I know it's extremely useful. I just have, what it is with me is I just have so much time. I can't just keep I can't keep adding things to my list of things to check and do and this and that. I wouldn't be able to go to my real job. So it's a very useful source of information.
Cool. That's one of the things that I've been kind of looking at personally. Is that a resource, and is that a good resource? Because you're right. I have only so much time in the day, because I've got my real world job. I have a wife and kids. I want to be a husband and father before I really am anything else. And then in my free time, this is what I like to do. So, always and I'm kind of like you. I look at eBay sales if I'm selling something, because that's, what's something worth, what somebody will pay for it, so that's, that's a good way to, I think a good way to look at it. So question 8 is, with the pandemic, has it affected your ability to create content at all, or has it affected? I mean, I know we talked about that just a little bit a minute ago, but has it affected anything? Are people afraid to let you in to look at a collection because they're scared of the coronavirus, anything like that?
It's been not really. Yeah, some people don't want me in, and that's fine. I'll be in their garage. I'm always wearing a mask in someone's home anyway. And I'll tell you, they usually are too. So it's been fine. And I don't push people one way or another. It's their home. It's their rules. It's whatever they want. Whether you believe in this or not believe in this, still be respectful to other people. It doesn't matter. So whatever they want to do is fine with me. But I haven't seen it really affect it too much in a negative way. Although I will say, just out of sheer coincidence, I was supposed to go look at a collection a week or two ago, and the guy's daughter came back from college positive. So he said, we have to quarantine, put this off a little bit, which is fine.
Sure.
It's not, it's not dead in the water. It's just postponed a little bit. So that's happened a few times, but honestly, not as much as you would think.
So have you kind of become known as a guy who will buy collections and people seek you out now to purchase collections, or do you have to go and hunt them down?
I do hunt a little bit, but really at this point, it's been word of mouth. But I've also been doing this for so long. And I always tell everybody, you want to get your name out there, tell your friends, family, your family, and your family's friends. Let everybody know in your web of people that you do this. Even if you're not looking to resell, even if you're just looking to purchase collections and build your own personal collection, let everyone know.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're right. That word of mouth is the best. I mean, like my entire business was built on word of mouth. You know, as I like to say, tell your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa, you know, your sister, whoever, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So questions 9 and 10 have nothing to do with the hobby at all. Well, maybe with the hobby, but they're probably the two things that I really want to talk to you most about, which is odd, right? For somebody who has a YouTube channel and sells comic books, this is something I love, but I have two other passions, okay? And one is sports. And I know that you're a Yankees fan. So, so question 9 is, and I know that you do collect some sports memorabilia. I saw it in the room tour. How big of a Yankees fan are you?
Oh, I'm a huge Yankees fan. I was at Yankee Stadium during the troublesome 80s, and my favorite player is Don Mattingly.
Oh, yes.
So my favorite player I've never seen is Lou Gehrig. I've read books on him. My favorite Yankee probably during all those 90s teams is like I love Jeter and Mariano. They're my favorite. I have Yankee chairs from the old stadium, signed balls, signed bat. Plenty of pictures. I love A-Rod too. I know he gets a bad rap, and I get it.
I like A-Rod.
I love A-Rod. I'm a huge Yankee fan. Huge Yankee fan. Well, I was at the 2009 World Series when they won. I was in the stadium.
I've seen the Yankees play a few times. Like the closest team to us is the Cincinnati Reds. And yeah, right. And so it's Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, so you can't really win. Like Pittsburgh's probably 6 hours, Cincinnati's like 2 or 3, you know, from where I'm at. So we go up every summer, and I probably go to 9-10 games a year. But I always go up when they do the interleague play and the Yankees come to town. Like I got to see Mariano pitch one time. I got to see Jeter play. You know, that was a big deal to get to see the Yankees come, especially those Yankees teams.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, let me see. I've been out to San Francisco. I happened to be out there for a buddy's wedding, and the Mets were in San Francisco, and I thought that was pretty good, which was a beautiful stadium. I've only been to Fenway once, 2 times, one weekend, and it wasn't even for a Yankee game or a baseball game. So, yeah, I'm a big baseball fan. I mean, I do fantasy baseball, like daily league, not even like the weekly league.
Yeah, you're into
not to pat myself on the back, but I am phenomenal at fantasy baseball. I gotta say.
I love it. No, so do you like it? Because I know we were kind of messaging back and forth, and I asked you if you liked the Knicks, and there was a reason that I asked the question, but you said you weren't really into basketball.
Not too much, not anymore. I was big into those '90s Knicks teams. Like I used to watch every Knick game with like Ewing and Oakley and Mason, Starks, all them. I used to watch them all the time. But now since college, it's really been like Yankees and Rangers. That's it.
So like here in Kentucky, right? We don't really have a professional team. We don't have a professional team in Kentucky. So, you know, I told you Kentucky basketball, we think that we are the Yankees of the NCAA, right? Yeah. We think we are it. But the reason I asked about the Knicks is because there's a heavy Kentucky flavor on the Knicks now. Kenny Payne, who was one of our coaches, is now coaching up there. They drafted Emmanuel Quickly. Well, they didn't draft him. They traded for him, Emmanuel Quickly. There's a bunch of Kentucky guys. And I watched the NBA because in Kentucky, when you're born to be a Kentucky fan. That is, you're a Kentucky basketball fan from birth. Like I've done the same thing to my poor children. You know, that's what you have. You're a Kentucky basketball fan.
I see behind you.
Oh, yeah. So you got AD back here. The autographed AD picture. That was when we won the national championship. I was in New Orleans and grabbed that. So, yeah, I collect a lot of Kentucky memorabilia, you know, like autographs and different things, also some red stuff. Do you like, football or anything? Or is it just baseball and hockey?
Oh, yeah. I like football, too. I mean, being a Giants fan right now is a little tough. I mean, I guess they're in first place.
They're kind of coming on, though, dude. I mean, like,
they're growing. They're building. It's a rebuild right now. Same with the Knicks, I guess, but they've been rebuilding for about 20 years, so I don't know if that even counts.
Well, the Knicks teams back in those days, man, probably when you were watching it when it was Ewing and Starks and Oakley and Mason and all those guys, because everybody loved Jordan, right? So and those were some absolute battles between the Knicks and the Bulls back in
Oh
the day.
God, yeah, those were just huge. That was huge rivalry in the '90s, huge. But yeah, the Knicks always came up shorthanded.
Well, it was MJ. What
Yeah.
are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
All right. So question 10, and again, my outside of probably comic books and my family, my biggest passion is music. Okay. I love music. And I know that you're a huge Pearl Jam fan.
Oh yeah.
And I am too. I'm a big Pearl Jam fan. So question 10, which will have multiple parts, is what is your favorite Pearl Jam album?
Versus.
Versus is nice.
That's my favorite. Everyone loves 10. But...
Well, I love 10 because it's what introduced me to them. When there's almost a nostalgia to I was in college and that came out and you were like, what the hell is this? It was, so 10 for everybody, but Versus for me is phenomenal.
Yeah, you can listen to Versus and 10 as well, straight through.
Yep.
Like just straight through. Like I always said, Versus is like a greatest hits album. You don't even realize that all these songs are on one album.
I know, it's true. Thing. How many times have you seen him in concert?
Either 8 or 9.
Nice. Oh. I've only seen him 3 times. One of my favorite, you know how they would put out those CDs? They put out a CD of every show. Like
every concert. Bootleg.
Every concert. Yeah. Yep. A bootleg. I have one that I went to in Lexington at Rupp Arena. And it's one of my favorite. Like it is on constant play a lot of times in my car. So last question, and this is a part of question 10, but this is something I'm just interested to know about you, and you may have talked about it on your videos. Top 5 bands.
Oh, Pearl Jam's one. So with me, it's a little, I'm all over the place, but Pearl Jam's one, no doubt. And then if you had asked me this maybe 15 years ago, it would be a little different. But number 2, it's hard right now. I do love Rage Against the Machine, actually.
Oh, I love Rage.
And I really, really love Mumford & Sons.
Mm-hmm.
I love Linkin Park, and then they started going into it. They turned a corner, and this is before Chester, but like they turned a corner and changed the direction of their music, and that's when I kind of stopped listening to them. And the same thing goes for Finger 11. I used to love Finger 11, and then that Paralyzer song came out, which was horrible, and they changed directions, and I lost them. They're just not the same anymore.
That's a great list. So let me throw mine at you. And this, like, number 1 for me, hands down, number 1 is Metallica. Okay. And I was in high school. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I went to the Injustice for All tour. I didn't even know who Metallica was. There was this girl that I thought was super hot, cute. She asked me to go. And so I went, and they melted my face off. Like, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And so from that point, I was hooked on Metallica. And they kind of did the same thing where they kind of took a turn when they cut their hair. And there's a lot of people who that Metallica is their favorite Metallica. That's not mine. Mine is the long-haired thrash,
Yeah.
But number 2 is Pearl Jam, because I freaking love Eddie Vedder. And so number 2 is Pearl Jam. Number 3 for me is STP, Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, yeah, Stone Temple Pilots.
I think Scott Weiland's maybe one of the best frontmen that ever lived. I saw him once. My best friend went to college, pharmacy school in Alabama at Sanford, and Stone Temple Pilots was there. And that's when Weiland was cracked out of his skull. Like, he was this big around, mohawk, blue, and he put on the most insane show I've ever seen. And so STP for me, because I just love Weiland. Rage is number 4 for me. I love Rage Against the Machine, Zach De La Rocha. I mean, like, he's a great front man. And then that whole, like, almost rap, but with a meaning, I don't know. I totally dig that. The Ghost of Old Tom Joad is one of my favorite songs, and Going Down Rodeo. And then number 5 is really hard because I love Soundgarden.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Soundgarden because, but
I love Soundgarden because Cornell, again, I like great frontmen, as far as, and Cornell had one of the best voices out there.
Yeah.
I watched him in an acoustic show in Washington, D.C. It's one of the sickest shows I've ever seen.
I've never seen no one on your list have I seen except Pearl Jam, which is a bummer because you're not going to see any of those guys ever again.
No, like Metallica, I've seen probably 10, 15 times.
You can catch them now.
you can see them like they were in Louisville a year ago, I think. Hell, I drove to Atlanta by myself and watched Metallica. Like I love Metallica. Pearl Jam I saw in Rupp Arena a couple years ago. STP you can't see anymore. I saw them 2 or 3 times. I saw Linkin Park once. They were with STP. It was called the Family Values Tour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that. Yeah. I saw them in Ozfest. I saw them.
Saw Ozzy once too. Ozzy and Korn. That was when Korn first came out, and I hated Korn. I thought they were awful. And then I saw them at Summer Sanitarium, and Metallica. James Hetfield got hurt on a jet ski or something, so Metallica played, but all the other bands fronted Metallica.
That's cool.
So you had like Kid Rock front Metallica. The guys from Korn. Like it was really cool. System of a Down.
Oh yeah.
He fronted. It was sweet. They did Sanitarium. System of a Down did, which was pretty cool. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, like when I realized that you were a Pearl Jam fan, I was like, all right, I mean, this dude can hang out, because music is really a big passion for me outside of comic books. So I didn't mean to start talking and
no, that's okay.
Go on for 10 minutes, man. So
no, music is huge. My whole family, my immediate family, like my wife's big into country, and like she loves Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
She when I met her, she loved the Rascal Flatts. This was 12 years ago, like in sync of the country world. And I remember going to see them. I don't know how many times I saw them, like 3 or 4 times way back when. But like watching some of the bands open, I saw Taylor Swift I've seen her like 3 times now, but I seen Taylor Swift on a stool with a guitar play and open for Rascal Flatts. Like
wow,
way back with her shiny guitar, shiny little dress, like way back. Now she's selling out Giant Stadium and stuff like that.
Well, the thing that I'm going through right now is my kids, right? Like I'm trying to educate them in the way of music. And, I also like Led Zeppelin is another big one for me. Like I love Zeppelin, and so I'm trying to bring them on. My oldest daughter, I've lost completely. Like right now she is a Harry Styles fan. Like she loves Harry Styles, which actually I kind of like some of it too. After listening to it so much that I've become it's all right, and I've seen One Direction in concert. I took them when they were younger to watch One Direction. There was a reason they were the biggest boy band in the world. I mean, it's like NSYNC. I mean, they were good. I mean, I had a good time. And then also, like, I saw Justin Bieber, which was the most insane thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life. Like, only guy, like, if you drank, you could get a beer because nobody was buying beer.
That's how the Taylor concert was.
Yes.
Giant Stadium, I walked into the bathroom. There was nobody in the bathroom.
No men.
You can go. This is great.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, and there was probably 10 guys in the entire place.
Yeah,
nobody's in the beer line because it's mostly kids there, except for the 10 dads like me that are there grabbing a beer. Then you go to the bathroom. You can walk right in.
Yeah,
at the women's bathroom, you can't get in. It's a 3-hour wait. I'm just scrolling into the men's bathroom. And then I love to tell this story because it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So Bieber gets this camera, right? And they're filming the whole thing, but he gets it and he's got it right in front of his face. And all you can see is his face. And he's just sitting there. And all of a sudden he winked. And I thought the Yum Center in Louisville was going to fall in on itself. Like it was these kids and these women went insane. I've never been to a concert like that. It was crazy. That was my first experience at a concert like that.
Jeez. Yeah, no, Bieber will do it to you, huh?
I guess Bieber fever. I did not have Bieber fever after I left. I'm not, I didn't catch it. But there were a whole lot of people.
That's good. It's contagious, so that's good that you didn't get that.
Cool, Gary, man. Those are my 10 questions. I want to say something. I meant to say it to Jim last week, and I forgot because I was kind of fanboying out, if I'm being honest. And and really with you too, I appreciate you coming on, a small channel like mine. When you're obviously growing and, there's a lot of people who know who you are out there in the comic book community. And I want you to know that I appreciate you. Like I'm a goal-oriented person. Okay. I set goals for myself. I have my entire life and I shoot big. I'm not one of these guys that says, hey, I'm going to do 300 subscribers. I mean, I want 1 million subscribers. Like I shoot for that. But looking at the success that people like you and Jim where, especially like where Jim started, where you started, the guys like Comic Tom who've been able to build something. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you, for taking the time to come on and giving me something to shoot for in this hobby.
You had to start at zero, right? Everybody started at the same level. Nobody started with 10,000 subscribers. So yeah, it's a goal. Like you said, there's always a goal. So it's no problem coming on, man. I'd do it again if you ever wanted to.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Guys, this has been 10 Questions with Very Gary Comics.